Well, how's everybody doing? So I'll give everybody a few minutes. Anybody might join here once they get notified. Got a couple things I'd like to talk about and share with you. A couple things that pretty hot over the last couple days. It's something else, and today's for me just takes the cake. So we'll give everybody just a minute before I get started on a couple things I want to talk about. And I appreciate everybody's responses and support for both of these things because they're both vitally important to what's going on. And I think it's important that folks are paying attention to what is going on around us. It is not acceptable, the things we're going to talk about today. It's just not. Stuff like this cannot continue to go on. And I don't understand people that aren't willing to look at it, aren't willing to see what's going on. They're not willing to acknowledge that continuing to eat a typical Western diet is not good for you, it's not good for the animals, it's not good for the planet. So more and more people are starting to realize that, more and more people are starting to understand what's going on, and I appreciate those folks who are waking up to the reality of what's happening. And I didn't grow up this way. I've talked about this. I don't hide it. I'm not shy about it. I didn't grow up this way. Most of us in the vegan movement, we have to remember this, that we did not grow up this way. However, when we see things that are unacceptable, we can respond appropriately, but the important part is to respond appropriately. Obviously, depending on what's going on, that level of appropriateness may be different, but so we'll see what's going on. So it's noon on, let's see, today's Wednesday. Kind of have my days out of whack. We went on vacation to Knoxville, and we got to celebrate our fifth wedding anniversary. So we had a wonderful time in Knoxville. More importantly, we got to see some of our really good friends, and we got to spend time at Cows Come Home Sanctuary as well as For Them Sanctuary. We got to meet some incredible animals. We got to spend some time with our friends and love on some cows and some pigs and sheep, and just it was a wonderful trip, and it's good to be home. But when you come home to, we call it reality, because we don't have a farm of our own. We don't have a sanctuary of our own. And unfortunately, Knoxville's 4.5 hours away from us. Eventually at some point we would like to have our own property and have our own sanctuary. That would be our ultimate goal. That would be incredible, and we would love to be able to do that. So we'll see how that pans out. But, we'll go from there, and hopefully we can make that happen, because just the peace and the just tranquility and the love and the compassion at some of these sanctuaries that we get to spend at this weekend were incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And just like any time, like, you hate leaving these sanctuaries because you got to go home and do regular stuff that doesn't fill your heart like being in a sanctuary and loving on cow does. So wanted to talk about a couple of things, so I'll put my old man reader glasses back on since that's how shit's going down. But today I posted a post from Sweet Baby Ray's. So there's a little bit of gray area, and I'll get to that in a minute as far as where the content came from, and I'll discuss that. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about this, because this isn't, I don't know, it's not, this should not be the norm, this should not be acceptable, and to think this way it's barbaric. I will be the first person to tell you that I can laugh at a good, what's going on, Johnny? I can laugh at a good vegan joke, but there's some shit that's not funny. When you cross that line, I feel I have a very good sense of humor, and I'm open to taking a little riffing from friends and coworkers and everyone else out there. But when you get to this point, when you start talking about what I shared with Sweet Baby Ray's, in case you didn't see it, there was an ad agency named MMB. They're out of Boston. So I've actually reached out to them to find out why they think this is funny and acceptable, but it's still on their website. Thankfully, I don't remember the lady's name, unfortunately. She found it on their website, and that's kind of where it came from. So it didn't directly come from Sweet Baby Ray's. However, to use their name, their likeness, and all of their products, it had to be approved. So I reached out to Sweet Baby Ray's as well. Someone from MMB is going to call me back, and after I'd left a message with the young lady, I did a little more research on their site, and there are other things that are just as bothersome. So the first thing that I saw this morning, and so this is why I shared it, it's a full-page ad. It says, Old MacDonald had a farm and then had one hell of a barbecue. And you scroll to the next one. It says, Sweet Baby Ray's, for those who want to eat animals like animals. I've never seen a wolf put barbecue sauce on another animal before it eats it, let alone cook it and clean it. So, whatever. Sweet Baby Ray's. This one, this is probably the one that, I don't want to say pissed me off the most, but I think it probably upset me the most. Sweet Baby Ray's, lead the lamb to the slather. How do you have such a lack of empathy to even come up and create something like this? I understand what they're doing, slather barbecue sauce on a dead animal. I get it. But, lead the lambs to the slather. That's pretty sick and twisted. I don't get it. I don't get how you can do that. I don't get how you can be a part of that. As someone in a creative field, how do you sit around like, what can I... Oh, lambs to the slather. That's fucking catchy. It's not. Then we have Sweet Baby Ray's. This is the one that probably pisses off most vegans. Sweet Baby Ray's, at long last, the cure for veganism. Are you kidding me? You're suggesting... I love people that try to poke holes in veganism, that try to make excuses for veganism, why it's not acceptable, why it's not okay. That's ridiculous. The whole utter idea that veganism is a bad thing is just mind-blowing. When you start looking at the... Jesus. If you look at the animals' welfare, if you look at our own welfare, if you look at all the things going on in the world, you look at the planet, you look at the shape of the planet, it's incredible. How can you suggest that there is something wrong with veganism? So one of the other things, the next one, and then this was the last one that they had posted, was Sweet Baby Ray's wing sauce. Say hello to the world's most delicious bird bath. I don't know about you, but if I was a bird, I would not think that was a delicious bird bath, considering you have to kill the bird to put it in there. So, I used to love wings. I don't hide that. I'm not proud of it per se, but that's where I came from. And it's not something that's a part of something I want to do anymore. And I wouldn't support that today, and it's all because of the shift of perspective. And it's incredible what happens when you shift your perspective. It's eye-opening. So this one kind of bothers me. So this is on their website, on this MMB's website. It's mmb850.com. That's they're a design firm out of Boston. They're doing work for DJ's Deli and Butcher Shop. And they have a big picture. I didn't share this because I just found it. Looks like a 16 by 11 picture frame, and inside of it has circles of meat. Circles of meat. It says cylindrical meat discs in rectangular format. DJ's Deli Butcher Shop, where art is cured, not created. Are you for real? This is kind of some sick, twisted stuff. I don't get why people find that this is acceptable. I don't understand why this is something that is allowed to go on. I really don't. I don't get it. And it's frustrating for myself I understand where I came from. I understand, like I said earlier, I understand that I wasn't raised vegan. I understand people's perspectives shift and change, and people have different opinions on stuff. But there has to be a point where there's some common decency that we all have to, I don't know if agree upon, but kind of human nature. How can you agree that talking about leading the lamb to the slather is something that's acceptable? The meat industry and the dairy industry, and we'll talk about dairy in a minute. The meat industry and the dairy industry, they want you to be as disconnected as possible from what is going on. What I mean by that is they want you so far removed that when you pick up a package of cleanly wrapped cellophaned dead animals, that you don't think about the dead animals. They don't want you to think about what they're selling you. They don't want you to think about what it took to get that product to the store. And they don't want you to think about that animal and what it went through, what it lived through, what it suffered through. They absolutely don't. And it's just, when you get that disconnect, people don't think about it. You go pick it up because that's the way we've always been taught. That's the way we've been raised. You got to have milk, you got to have meat for protein. Well, it turns out we've been lied to. So the other big thing in the news, which is kind of in line with this, is Fair Oaks. And this is something that's pissed off a lot of people. And first off, I'd like to give a shout out to ARM, so Animal Recovery Mission. You guys are some badass vegans, because if I was in that same situation, I don't know that I could respond the way you guys did. Doing that kind of work takes a very, very special skill and ability to compartmentalize what you're watching, what you're investigating, and to be able to stand there and watch while these guys do this to these animals, so you can document and expose what's going on at Fair Oaks Farm. Whew, hats off to you boys, because I probably would have already thrown down and went fisticuffs, because that's not acceptable. And what I think is important for people to realize is that Fair Oaks is the dairy industry, and the dairy industry is Fair Oaks. What I mean by that is, sure, there are places that no doubt treat their animals worse, but there are also places that do treat their animals better. There are some places that don't do some of this stuff to that extent. But at the end of the day, the dairy industry is probably, in my opinion, is a lot more destructive, harmful, and cruel than the meat industry. And here's why I say that. When you look at the meat industry, they're trying to make as many pounds as they can, as quickly as they can, get them in, get them out, get them slaughtered, get them sold. And that is cruel, and that is callous, and that's awful. 100% agree. But if you look at the dairy industry, they take a female cow, they forcibly impregnate her year after year, taking her babies away from her year after year so we can drink their milk. And then once her production reduces, she's sent to slaughter. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible industry, and I don't understand why Coca-Cola hasn't responded yet to the relationship with Fair Oaks. That will be interesting to see if they actually do respond, to see if they do come out with something, and I don't know if they will or not. So then, you talk about these babies that these cows keep having so we can keep having milk. These babies are separated from their moms, so if they don't get the needed colostrum from their mom within, I think, the first 24 hours, chances of survival are greatly diminished. Fair Oaks says, without a doubt, we don't send our calves to veal factories. However, the men at ARM and all of their folks, they followed trucks directly from Fair Oaks directly to a veal factory. So don't tell us that you don't do that. Don't lie to us. We're not stupid. So, the boy calves are often sold to the meat industry as veal, and the girl calves are raised up and put in the same situation their moms have been in. And they will be forcibly impregnated and have their babies taken from them just as their moms had. And so, something I was thinking about the other day, and we were talking about this while we were in Knoxville. Why is it that there's a name for vegetarian, someone who doesn't eat meat and eggs, but still consumes dairy? There's a name for a pescatarian, someone who still eats fish. I know there's like 4 or 5 different names that people have come up with over the years that people use. Why is there not a name for someone who does not consume dairy but still eats meat? To me, like I said, the dairy industry is probably much more cruel and much more violent than the meat industry ever wishes it could be. To me, they both have to go, and that's why my wife and I have decided that's why we're vegan, and that's the message I want to push. I want to encourage anyone and everyone to start their journey. If it takes you to do meatless Mondays, I'm okay with that, but my ultimate goal is to get you to go vegan. If you have to go vegetarian first, I'm okay with that. We did. We went vegetarian for just a little over a year. Is that right? Yeah, a little over a year before we went vegan. So, whatever it's going to take to get you there, I'm on board. But the end result, the end goal, the end game has to be veganism. And I say that because not only does your health matter, but so does mine. These animals matter to me, and we have to stop raising them, bringing them into this world just to slaughter them and consume them. The planet cannot sustain it anymore, so it's important for everyone to start understanding what's going on. My favorite is the folks who want to ban straws to save the oceans, but yet they won't stop eating the fish to save the oceans. It's the weirdest damn thing. I'm on board. We need to greatly reduce our single-use plastics in the world, including straws. But if you want to talk about saving the oceans, stop eating the fish. And it's mind-blowing. People come up with this kind of stuff, and stop with the straws. But I'm still gonna eat fish. And what they don't realize is the majority of the plastic and trash in the seas that's killing wildlife are the fishing nets. So, man, I just kind of fired up, come home from this surreal trip and then come into the stuff with Fair Oaks that broke out last week, and then the stuff with Sweet Baby Ray's. It'll be interesting to see what both the design firm and Sweet Baby Ray's has to say. I would be shocked if Sweet Baby Ray's responds to any of my messages or requests, and I'm being polite and professional because I would like a response, but I hopefully someone responds and has some kind of insight as far as where this came from, why it started, how it started, or whatever the case may be. So, I don't know. We'll see, but definitely heartbreaking. So, I got a live feed going. My friend Johnny Bravo, we'll get the raw in there. Don't worry, brother. He has requested to join, so you know what? Why not? Let's see what Johnny's got going on today. Maybe. It's thinking about it. No, it's not looking like it's going to happen. Ah. All right, I'm not on Wi-Fi, so it may be my phone. So Johnny, we'll do that. We'll do that another day. Hope things are going well for you. And I appreciate all the support, all the comments, all the shares, and I think it's so important to share this kind of stuff because I've had several friends of mine who are not vegan but follow along on the vegan sheepdog, and they've started to change some things in their lives and started to shift their perspective a little bit. And I think if we can get people to start shifting their perspectives, 2 of them today were like, no more Sweet Baby Ray's in my house. And I really appreciate that kind of support as well. Obviously, from my fellow vegan community, I appreciate everyone's outpouring support for this. Please continue to share these posts so we can get those out. Bobby Sudd, what's going on, man? So those of you who are not familiar, if you've been hiding under a rock, Bobby Sudd has got to be one of the coolest cats out there. One of the most compassionate individuals you'll ever meet. He is constantly out there hustling for the vegan movement for animal rights and animal rescues all over the country. He is, him and his brother, they are just world-class guys, and I really appreciate all that they bring to the table. So, absolutely, man, you are quite welcome. It's there's not enough that I can say good enough about yourself and your brother Adam. I appreciate all the stuff that you do, and one of the things I was just talking about Fair Oaks, and I was talking about my post this morning with the Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. So Bobby does something very interesting once a week, or maybe more than once a week. They goes to Farmer John's slaughterhouse in LA, and they always have 100+ activists there to give these pigs some kindness and compassion, because it's the only kindness and compassion they've ever seen. When these pigs come into the slaughterhouse, they've probably been on the truck for as long as 36 hours, no food, no water, clearly no room to do anything. And Bobby goes and they help, give these pigs a little bit of kindness before their lives are taken from them. And he had a great perspective. He said, he was asked why, if it's not going to make a difference, why go? And he said, we have to go because it's the right thing to do. So I wish LA wasn't so far away. Becky and I would love to get out there. Maybe we can plan a trip out and come see you guys next year. But it would every Sunday and every Wednesday, if everybody's paying attention. When I replay this back, you won't see all the comments. But so Farmer John's Slaughterhouse every Sunday and every Wednesday. Bobby, I really appreciate what you and your group do out there, and we've got to start changing things. And there are lots of positive movements. If you look at the changes, if you look at Beyond Meat and look at their stock performance, clearly the vegan movement is skyrocketing. People are coming to this movement and quickly getting on board, and I love it. I'm so glad to be a part of this movement. I'm so glad to my wife for waking me up, because I was not ready. I don't hide that from anybody, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here where I am today. So I really appreciate everybody supporting and following along. I talked about it the other day. Support your local sanctuaries. Find the ones that are important to you. So this weekend we spent some time at Cows Come Home and For Them Sanctuary. They are, they're just getting started. They're out of the gate. They're still working on trying to figure out how they're going to get things taken care of and support their animals. So they're not an established sanctuary, so they need our help more than anybody right now to get things off the ground. It's important to support them and to, get out and visit them if you're able to, but definitely we need to help monetarily support them so they can feed their animals and keep their animals safe on their property, and so they can spread this vegan message. So I appreciate everybody joining today, and thanks for following along. Oh, so as I'm wrapping up, my lovely wife joined, who she was busy this morning and was just able to jump on. Hey, Joe. So, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today, and I really appreciate her encouraging me to use my voice to create a platform to spread as much information as I can, and I try to remain positive and optimistic. And then you see things like going on at Fair Oaks and the Sweet Baby Race thing I talked about earlier. It's not acceptable, and I think it's important for us all to be our voice to say that this is not acceptable, and to be able to carry on with what's important as far as moving this movement forward, moving the needle forward, and making things to be more positive. So hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and it's kind of a mouthful for me, apparently. Hope you guys have a good one. Thanks, guys.